60 ex-convicts covered in prison tattoos surrounded the luxury car when the influencer raised his hand to strike the elderly man. Marcus, with scars from 15 years in the state penitentiary still marking every muscle, caught the young man's wrist with a grip that came from a very dark place. "Not the old man," he said with a voice that had once commanded respect behind bars. But what the TikToker didn't know was that Marcus had been convicted precisely for protecting an elderly person, and he had served every single day of his sentence without regret. What happened in the next few minutes changed not only that veteran, but an entire community that learned monsters can become guardians. Have you ever imagined that someone with the darkest past could have the most protective heart? That's exactly what happened with Marcus. And what he discovered that day completely changed everything. You'll understand why this story shocked the entire country. So, subscribe to the channel. Right. Now, leave your like and stay with me until the end, because what happened in this story nobody was prepared to see. And you can be sure you'll never look at a person by their past the same way again. It was a suffocating hot afternoon in the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. The kind of heat that makes asphalt shimmer and turns every breath into an effort. Harold Mitchell, 90 years old, World War II veteran, stood at the entrance of Sam's Corner store on 5th Street, his weathered hands trembling slightly as he tried to count the few dollars he had for his groceries. His worn uniform jacket, adorned with faded medals, hung loosely on his thin frame. The Purple Heart pinned to his chest caught the harsh sunlight. Harold had survived Normandy, had seen brothers fall beside him, had carried wounds both visible and invisible for 7 decades. But nothing had prepared him for what was about to happen on this ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Brandon Chen, 23 years old, TikTok influencer with over 2 million followers, pulled up in his white Mercedes, music blasting, phone already recording. He was known for his prank videos, each more aggressive than the last, chasing views and viral moments with no regard for who got hurt in the process. His last video, mocking a homeless man, had gotten 3 million views. The comments were divided, some laughing, others disgusted, but Brandon only saw the numbers. More controversy meant more attention. More attention meant more money. That was his logic. That was his poison. Harold was blocking the entrance, moving slowly as elderly people do, his cane tapping against the concrete. Brandon honked, once, twice. Harold didn't move faster. He couldn't. His legs, damaged by shrapnel in 1944, only moved at one speed. Brandon honked again, longer this time, then jumped out of his car, phone in hand, recording. "Hey, old man, move it! Some of us have places to be!" Harold turned slowly, his clouded eyes, trying to focus on the source of the shouting. "I'm sorry, son. I'm moving as fast as I can." Brandon smirked at his phone. "As fast as you can? That's pathetic. You're basically a zombie. Why are you even still alive taking up space?" The words hit Harold like bullets. His hand went to his chest, where his heart was racing too fast, too hard. "Please, young man. I'm a veteran. I fought for this country. Show some respect." Brandon laughed, a cruel, performative laugh for his audience. Respect? For what? For being old? That's not an accomplishment, Grandpa. That's just not dying. He stepped closer, the phone inches from Harold's face. "Tell my followers, what's it like being completely useless?" Harold's eyes filled with tears, not from the insult, but from the realization that this is what the world had become. He had stormed beaches under enemy fire. He had held dying friends in his arms. He had come home to a country that promised honor for service. And now, 70 years later, he was being mocked by a child with a phone for entertainment. "Please, just let me pass," Harold whispered. Brandon blocked his path. "Not until you apologize for wasting my time." Harold stood there, confused. "Apologize? I didn't do anything." Brandon's voice rose, theatrical, playing to his invisible audience. "You're standing in my way. You're slow. You're useless. Apologize." Harold tried to step around him. Brandon grabbed his arm roughly, the phone still recording. "Where do you think you're going?" And then, in a moment that would change everything, Harold's cane slipped. He stumbled, His hand reached out, accidentally brushing against Brandon's expensive watch. It wasn't a grab. It wasn't an attack. It was an old man trying not to fall, but Brandon saw his moment. "Did you just try to steal my watch? This old man just tried to rob me." Harold's eyes went wide. "No, I was falling. I didn't—" Brandon's hand came up fast, and the slap echoed across the parking lot. The sound was sharp, cruel, final. Harold's head snapped to the side, his frail body stumbling backward. He would have fallen completely if his cane hadn't caught him. Blood trickled from his lip where his own teeth had cut him. The purple heart on his chest caught the sun one more time before Harold's knees gave out, and he collapsed onto the hot concrete, gasping, his heart hammering dangerously in his chest. Brandon kept filming, laughing. "Did you see that? World War II veteran just got dropped. That's what happens when you mess with me." He was so focused on his phone, on the shot, on the moment he was creating, that he didn't notice the pickup trucks pulling into the parking lot. He didn't notice the 15, then 20, then 30 men climbing out, all moving with a purpose that came from years of understanding violence. He didn't notice until they formed a circle around him, silent, massive, covered in the kind of tattoos that tell stories words never could. Marcus stepped forward, first, 6'3", 240 pounds of muscle built in prison yards. His neck bore a covered-up gang tattoo, now transformed into a mandala, but the original lines were still visible underneath. His arms were road maps of time served, each tattoo a chapter. Teardrops near his eye, not for kills, but for years lost. Dates up and down his forearms, names of people he'd lost while locked up. A cross on his chest added the day he decided to change. He was 42 years old now, had been released 5 years ago after serving 15 years for aggravated assault. The crime: he'd beaten a man nearly to death for trying to hurt an elderly woman at a bus stop. Marcus had paid his debt every single day, and he'd sworn on the day he walked out of Red Rock Correctional Facility that he would never use violence for the wrong reasons again. Only protection, only justice. Behind Marcus stood the others. Tommy, 51, served 12 years for drug trafficking, now ran a construction business that only hired men like him, men trying to rebuild. His back was covered in a mural of his old neighborhood, a memorial to friends who didn't make it out. Carlos, 36, 8 years for armed robbery, now volunteered at youth centers, showing kids his scars, his regrets, his hard-won wisdom. His knuckles spelled out words he'd had removed and covered, but you could still see the shadow of what they'd said. David, 48, veteran himself, served 10 years for a bar fight that went too far when he came home from Iraq with PTSD that nobody treated. His forearms bore Marine tattoos intertwined with prayer hands added later. And there were more. 60 men total, all part of the Second Chance Project, a reintegration program based in a converted warehouse on the south side of Phoenix. All ex-convicts, all reformed, all carrying their pasts on their skin, but their futures in their actions. They'd been at their weekly meeting, talking about staying clean, about job struggles, about the daily choice to be different than they were. And then Carlos had gotten the call from his sister who worked at the corner store. "There's a kid beating up an old veteran in the parking lot." They'd moved as one. Brandon finally looked up from his phone. His smile faded, the color drained from his face. He was surrounded by men who looked like every nightmare warning his sheltered suburban upbringing had ever given him. Tattoos, scars, sighs, silent. The kind of men society taught him to fear. The kind of men he'd mock safely from behind his screen, but never confront in person. "Hey guys," he tried, voice shaking, trying to find his influencer charm. "This is just content. It's a prank. It's not serious." Nobody responded. 60 pairs of eyes, many of them dark with histories Brandon couldn't imagine, stared at him. Marcus knelt beside Harold, his massive hands gentle as he helped the old man sit up. "Sir, are you okay? Can you breathe?" Harold looked up at him, seeing the tattoos, the scars, the face that had seen violence, and something in his expression was fear. Marcus saw it, and his heart broke a little. "Sir, I'm not going to hurt you. None of us are. We're here to help." Harold's breathing was ragged. My heart, my medication. Carlos was already moving, sprinting into the store. Tommy had his phone out, calling 911. David knelt on Harold's other side, veteran to veteran. I got you, brother. Marine Corps, Iraq, 2 tours. You're going to be fine. Help is coming. Brandon tried to back away, tried to slip through the circle. A hand, belonging to a man named James, 45, served 13 years for manslaughter, landed on his shoulder. Not rough, not violent, just there, immovable. Where you going? Brandon's voice cracked. I need to leave. I have places to be. Marcus stood, turning to face him. When Marcus stood to his full height, Brandon suddenly felt very small, very young, very stupid. You just assaulted a 90-year-old World War II veteran on camera, Marcus said, his voice level, controlled, the kind of calm that's more terrifying than shouting. You're not going anywhere. It was just a prank. Brandon's voice was rising, panic setting in. It's for content. He's fine. Marcus stepped closer. So close Brandon could see every line in his face, every scar, every year of hard time. A prank is whoopee cushions, silly string, fake lottery tickets. You put your hands on an elderly man. You humiliated him. You made him bleed. That's not a prank, that's assault. Brandon tried to pull up his phone, tried to start recording, maybe live streaming, calling for help from his followers. 3 men, moving in sync like they'd practiced this, gently but firmly took the phone from his hand. Hey, that's mine! You can't... Tommy spoke for the first time, his voice rough from years of smoking in prison. We're not stealing it. We're preserving evidence. The ambulance arrived 7 minutes later. The paramedics, seeing the crowd, hesitated until Marcus waved them forward. We called you. The victim is here. The perpetrator is being held for police. They loaded Harold onto a stretcher, checking his vitals, his heart rate dangerously elevated. As they lifted him, Harold reached out, his weathered hand catching Marcus's arm. Thank you, son. Marcus's eyes, hard as stone moments before, softened. Thank you for your service, sir. We've got it from here. Harold was taken. Away. Sirens fading into the Phoenix heat. The police arrived next. 2 squad cars. 4 officers. They approached cautiously, hands near their weapons, seeing 60 ex-convicts surrounding 1 kid. But Carlos stepped forward, hands visible, voice calm. Officers, we're witnesses to an assault. We have video evidence. We've detained the suspect peacefully. The lead officer, Rodriguez, recognized several of the men. The Second Chance Project had worked with the Phoenix PD on several community initiatives. Marcus, that you? Marcus nodded. Officer Rodriguez. Yeah, it's us. This kid, he gestured to Brandon, struck an elderly veteran. It's all on his own phone. We didn't touch him, just made sure he couldn't run. Rodriguez approached Brandon, who was now visibly shaking. Son, is this true? Brandon tried to explain, tried to make it sound better. It was content. I'm an influencer. I have 2 million followers. This is just what I do. It's entertainment. Rodriguez looked at him with disgust. Entertainment is Netflix. This is assault and battery. Turn around. As the handcuffs clicked onto Brandon's wrists, reality finally hit him. This wasn't a video he could delete. This wasn't controversy he could spin. This was real. Wait, you can't arrest me. Do you know who I am? Marcus laughed, a sound without humor. Yeah, you're a coward who hits old men. In here, we know exactly who you are. Brandon was put in the back of the squad car, his phone confiscated as evidence. But before the car pulled away, Marcus leaned down to the window. You're about to learn something, kid. The system is going to process you. You're going to get a lawyer. You're probably going to get a deal because you're young and rich, and this is your first offense. But here's what you need to understand. He pointed to the 60 men still standing there, a wall of witnesses, of protection, of justice. We're watching. If you get out and you pull this again, if you hurt anyone vulnerable ever, again, we're going to know. And we're going to be there. We don't forget. We don't forgive easily. But we also don't give up on people. So you have a choice coming. Be better, or be an example of what happens when you're not. The police car drove away. The crowd slowly dispersed, men getting back into their trucks, returning to their lives, their jobs, their second chances. Marcus stood in the parking lot alone for a moment, looking at the spot where Harold had fallen. His mind went back, 15 years, back to a different parking lot, a different elderly person, a different moment of violence. He'd been 27, angry at the world, fresh out of a broken home, carrying rage like a weapon. He'd seen a man trying to steal an old woman's purse at a bus stop, and something in him had snapped. Not the rage he usually carried, something else, something protective. He'd beaten that man, badly, too badly. The man had spent weeks in the hospital. Marcus had been arrested, charged, convicted. Sitting in his cell in Red Rock, cell number 47, he'd had a lot of time to think, a lot of time to realize that violence, even for the right reasons, done the wrong way doesn't fix anything. It just creates more victims. An older inmate, a man named William, 62, serving his 20th year for a crime he'd committed in his youth, had sat with Marcus one day in the yard. You know what the difference is between a good man who does bad things and a bad man who does bad things? William had asked. Marcus had shrugged, not in the mood for philosophy. A good man who does bad things feels it, carries it, changes because of it. A bad man who does bad things, he just finds better excuses. That conversation had changed Marcus. He'd started reading, taking classes, working in the prison workshop, learning carpentry, learning anger management, learning that strength isn't about how hard you can hit, but about how much you can protect without destroying. When he was released 5 years ago at age 37, he'd made 3 promises. 1, never use violence except in absolute defense. 2, protect those who couldn't protect themselves, but do it right. 3, help other men like him find their way back. He'd kept all 3 promises, every single day. The Second Chance Project had started small. Marcus and 5 other ex-cons meeting in a church basement, talking about how impossible reintegration was, how nobody would hire them, how their families had moved on, how the world saw them as permanent threats. But slowly, they'd built something. They'd found employers willing to take a chance, contractors who understood that men with something to prove work harder than men with nothing to lose. They'd created a support system, weekly meetings, job training, therapy, mentorship for younger guys getting out, and most importantly, a code. The same code Marcus lived by. Protect the vulnerable. Choose right over easy. Every day is a choice. Choose better. Now, 5 years later, the project had helped 217 men successfully reintegrate. Their recidivism rate was 8%, compared to the national average of 70%. They'd partnered with 12 local businesses. They ran a woodworking shop that trained men in carpentry and sold furniture to fund the program. They'd even started a prevention program going into schools, showing kids their tattoos, their scars, their regrets, and begging them not to make the same choices. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Harold was stable. Heart attack avoided, but close. He'd asked if Marcus could visit. Marcus smiled. That night, he drove to County General, walked through sterile hallways that smelled of disinfectant and fear, and found Harold's room. The old man was tiny in the hospital bed, monitors beeping steadily, but his eyes were alert when Marcus entered. "You came." Marcus pulled up a chair. "Of course, sir. How are you feeling?" Harold smiled weakly. "Like I got hit by a kid young enough to be my great-grandson. Tell me something, son. Those tattoos, that look, you've been inside, haven't you?" Marcus didn't lie. Never did. "Yes, sir. 15 years. Red Rock. Got out 5 years ago." Harold nodded slowly. "What for, if you don't mind me asking?" Marcus met his eyes. "I beat a man almost to death. He was trying to rob an old woman. I stopped him, but I didn't know when to stop. Put him in the hospital for 6 weeks. Harold was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed, a raspy sound. "So you went to prison for protecting someone like me. And today you protected me. Seems like you learned to do it right the second time." Marcus felt something in his chest loosen. "I try, sir. Every day I try." They talked for 2 hours. Harold told stories about the war, about landing at Normandy, water red with blood, friends dying before they hit the beach, about coming home and trying to forget, trying to fit back into a world that had kept turning while he'd been frozen in hell, about his wife, dead now 10 years. About his daughter, who'd moved to Oregon and called twice a year. About being alone, being old, being invisible to a world that had moved on. Marcus told his own stories. About a childhood in poverty, about a father in prison, a mother on drugs, about making choices at 15 that he was still paying for at 42, about prison, about the violence, the code, the strange honor among men society had discarded, about the moment he decided to change, about how hard it was every single day to be different than what everyone expected. "You know what the hardest part is?" Marcus said. "It's not the work. It's not even finding jobs or dealing with people who see my tattoos and cross the street. It's believing I deserve to be better. That's the fight." Every morning, Harold reached out, his old hand resting on Marcus's scarred forearm. "Son, I've seen evil. Real evil. Men who enjoyed killing, who laughed while doing it. You're not that. You never were. You were just broken in a place that needed fixing, and you fixed it. That's more than most men ever do." When Marcus left the hospital, he sat in his truck in the parking lot and cried, not from sadness, from release, from years of carrying the belief that he was irredeemable, that his worst moment defined him forever. Harold's words had cracked something open. Meanwhile, across town, Brandon Chen sat in a holding cell, no longer recording, no longer performing, just sitting, alone, scared. The video from his phone had been recovered, watched. It showed everything: the harassment, the mockery, the grab, the slap, all of it. Within hours, it had leaked online. Not Brandon's edited version. The whole thing. His followers saw it, and the response was immediate. Brands dropped him. Sponsors canceled contracts. His follower count plummeted as people watched him assault a 90-year-old veteran for views. Comments poured in. Disgust, rage, promises of consequences. Brandon's carefully constructed online empire crumbled in less than 12 hours. All because he'd thought entertainment mattered more than humanity. All because he'd never learned that some lines you don't cross, some people you don't touch, some moments aren't content. His lawyer got him out on bail the next morning. But when Brandon walked into his apartment, the silence was deafening. His phone, returned to him, buzzed constantly, but not with support, with threats, with condemnation, with job offers being rescinded, with his family expressing shame. He'd never felt more alone. He scrolled through his social media, watching his empire burn. And for the first time in his life, Brandon understood consequences. Real ones. Not the kind he could edit out or spin or delete. The kind that lasted. 2 weeks later, the court date arrived. The courtroom was packed. Harold, recovering but still weak, sat in the front row, supported by a volunteer from the Veterans Association. Marcus sat behind him, along with 20 men from the Second Chance Project. They'd all taken the day off work to be there, to witness, to support Harold, to remind the court and Brandon that actions have audiences. Brandon's lawyer tried to make a case. First offense. Young, misguided, influenced by social media culture, seeking attention, not violence. But the video spoke louder than any argument. The judge, a woman in her 60s named Patricia Morrison, watched the video 3 times. Each time, her expression hardened. When it finished, she looked at Brandon. "Mr. Chen, do you have anything to say for yourself?" Brandon stood, looking small in his expensive suit. His lawyer had told him to be contrite, to apologize, to show remorse. "Your Honor, I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I got caught up in chasing views, in making content, in being edgy. I never meant to actually hurt anyone. It got out of hand. I've learned my lesson. I promise I'll never do anything like this again." Judge Morrison stared at him. "You never meant to hurt anyone. You slapped a 90-year-old man hard enough to make him bleed. You mocked a veteran who served this country before you were born. You filmed his humiliation for entertainment. And you're telling me you didn't mean to hurt anyone?" Brandon stammered. I didn't think." "Exactly," Judge Morrison cut him off. "You didn't think, because you've never had to face real consequences." She turned to Harold. "Mr. Mitchell, would you like to address the court?" Harold stood slowly, his cane supporting him. His voice, when he spoke, was stronger than it had been in the parking lot. Your Honor, I'm 90 years old. I've seen a lot in my life. Wars, loss, good people and bad. This young man hurt me, yes. But more than that, he showed me what happens when we raise children to believe everything is content, everything is entertainment, nothing is sacred. I don't want him destroyed. I want him educated. I want him to understand what he did wrong and why. And I want him to make it right. The judge nodded. Mr. Mitchell, your grace is noted, but grace doesn't erase justice. She looked at Brandon. Mr. Chen, I'm sentencing you to 1 year in county jail, suspended, with 3 years probation. You will complete 500 hours of community service, specifically at veterans facilities and elderly care homes. You will pay restitution for Mr. Mitchell's medical bills. And you will, as a condition of your probation, have no social media presence for the next 3 years. No TikTok, no Instagram, no YouTube, nothing. You're going to learn to exist without an audience. Brandon's face went white. Your Honor, that's my career. Your career, Judge Morrison said coldly, was built on humiliating others. Consider this an opportunity to build a new one, based on actually contributing to society. Court adjourned. As people filed out, Marcus approached Harold. That was generous, what you said. Harold smiled. Punishment without purpose is just revenge. Maybe he learns, maybe he doesn't. But at least we tried. Marcus nodded. Over the next 3 years, something unexpected happened. Brandon, stripped of his platform, forced into service, began to change. Not immediately, not easily. He fought it at first. Showed up to his community service hours resentful, angry, feeling victimized. But slowly, day by day, serving meals to veterans, listening to their stories, helping elderly residents at care facilities, something shifted. He met men who'd lost limbs in wars, women who'd outlived their families and had nothing but memories. He heard story after story of sacrifice, of pain, of lives lived with dignity despite hardship. And he started to see them not as content, not as characters, but as people. Real people with real stories that mattered more than views. 6 months into his service, he was assigned to help at a woodworking shop. The shop that trained ex-convicts, Marcus's shop. When Brandon walked in and saw Marcus, his first instinct was fear. But Marcus just nodded. You're here for community service? Brandon nodded, silent. Good. Grab an apron. We're building bookshelves for an elementary school. They worked side by side for weeks. Marcus never brought up the past, never lectured, just worked. Taught Brandon how to measure wood, how to cut clean lines, how to sand until your hands hurt. And in the silence between instructions, Brandon started asking questions. Why do you do this? After everything, why help people? Marcus set down his hammer. Because someone helped me. When I got out, I had nothing. No job, no family who'd talk to me, no hope. A man named Thomas gave me a chance, hired me to work construction. Didn't care about my record, just wanted to know if I'd show up and work hard. I did, and that chance saved my life. So now I give chances. It's not complicated. Brandon was quiet. Then, I never thought about what I was doing. To people, I mean, they were just content. Marcus looked at him. They were never just content. They were always people. You just chose not to see it. That conversation stayed with Brandon. By the time his probation ended 3 years after the incident, Brandon was a different person. He'd completed his hours, paid his restitution, stayed off social media completely. He'd gotten a job at a senior care facility, discovered he was good at it, discovered he liked being useful without an audience, and he'd kept in touch with Harold, visited him weekly, helped with groceries, listened to war stories, became, in an unexpected way, something like family. On the day his probation officially ended, Brandon was legally allowed to return to social media. His lawyer called. You're free. You can go back online if you want. Rebuild your brand. Brandon thought about it, about the millions of views, the money, the attention. Then he thought about Harold's laugh when Brandon brought him coffee, about the veteran at the care facility who only smiled when Brandon played Frank Sinatra, about Marcus teaching him to build something with his hands. No, Brandon said, I don't think I will. He kept working. kept serving, kept living quietly. No camera, no performance, just life. Meanwhile, the Second Chance Project continued growing. More men joined, more businesses partnered, more success stories emerged. Marcus became a local figure, speaking at schools, at community events, at parole boards, advocating for reform, for second chances, for seeing people beyond their worst moments. And Harold, now 93, became the project's honorary grandfather. He showed up to meetings, sharing wisdom, offering perspective, reminding everyone that life is long and people can change at any age. 5 years after that day in the parking lot, the Second Chance Project held a celebration. 5 years of operation, 300 a day. 42 men successfully reintegrated. A recidivism rate that had dropped to 6%. Partnerships with 30 businesses, a new training facility, a scholarship fund for children of ex-convicts. The event was held at their new building, a renovated warehouse on Roosevelt Street. Over 500 people attended, ex-cons and employers, family members and volunteers, police officers and social workers. And at the center of it all, Marcus stood at a podium, looking out at faces that represented hope. Hope that the past doesn't have to be forever. Hope that people can be more than their worst choices. 5 years ago, Marcus began, 60 of us stood in a parking lot and chose to be protectors instead of threats. We chose to use our past to inform our present, not define it. Every man here has a story. Most of them are dark. All of them have cost us something. But we're here because we decided our stories don't end with our crimes. They begin after. He looked at Harold, seated in the front row wearing his medal. This man taught me that grace is stronger than judgment. That age doesn't make you useless, it makes you valuable. That service to country doesn't end when the war does. He looked at Brandon, standing in the back, working as a volunteer at the event. This young man taught me that change is possible at any age, that consequences can be teachers, that sometimes the people we're angriest at are just lost and need direction. Marcus's voice broke, slightly. I spent 15 years in prison for violence. I thought that defined me forever. But these past 5 years, helping build this, seeing men like me get real second chances, watching families reunite, seeing kids avoid the mistakes we made, I've learned something. We're not defined by our worst day. We're defined by what we do with all the days after. The room erupted in applause, not polite applause. Real, thunderous, stand-up applause from people who understood what it meant to be, given a chance and not wasted. That night, as the event wound down, Marcus found himself outside, looking at the Phoenix skyline. Harold joined him, moving slowly but steadily. "You did good, son." Marcus smiled. "We did good. All of us." Harold nodded. "You know, when that kid hit me, I thought my faith in humanity was done. 90 years on this earth, and some child with a phone made me think it was all meaningless." He paused. "But then 60 men I'd been taught to fear protected me. Young man I had every right to hate learned to change. And I got to see that maybe, just maybe, the world isn't as broken as it seems. Maybe we just need more people willing to do the hard work of fixing it." Marcus put his hand on Harold's shoulder. "Thank you for not giving up on us." Harold laughed. "Thank you for not giving up on yourselves." This story isn't just about one moment in a parking lot. It's about understanding that everyone has a past, but not everyone is their past. It's about knowing that the most dangerous people can become the most protective when given purpose. It's about recognizing that punishment without redemption just creates more victims. And it's about believing, truly believing, that second chances aren't favors. They're justice for those who've paid their debt and proven their transformation through action. From the bottom of the darkest pit, you can still see stars, and stars guide you up, always. If this story touched your heart and made you rethink your judgments, leave your like now. Seriously, that like isn't just a button. It's you saying, "I believe people can change." And tell me in the comments, what struck you most in this story? Was it when Marcus protected Harold? Or when Brandon changed his life? Or when the judge gave a second chance? And answer something else. Do you know someone who deserves a second chance? Or someone who had a second chance and changed their life? Tag that person in the comments or share this video with them. This might be the push they need. And tell me, From which city are you watching? I want to see how far Marcus's and Harold's story is reaching across the country. Right here, watching from city, state. If you love stories that show the human side of people, that show real redemption, that aren't afraid to talk about real issues, subscribe to the channel now and turn on the bell so you don't miss any story that will move you and make you see the world differently. Are you crying? Normal. I cried, too, while writing this. Stories like this remind us that transformation is possible. Write in the comments, redemption is possible if you believe it. Changed my vision if this story transformed you. I met someone like this if you have a similar story. I want to read every comment, every one of your stories, because you're part of this too. Now click on the next video I've already picked for you. It's another story that will hit you hard. See you there. A hug, and remember, the past doesn't define you. The present builds you.